Today is a great, wonderful, amazing, incredible day, and I'll tell you why. Because it's a Sweden day. The secrets of Swedish ice hockey, hockey in Sweden. Without further ado, let's get into this reaction. Let's go. So before we get into this video, I never really knew how big ice hockey is in Sweden. I always associate ice hockey with Finland, but I know you guys have a rivalry. I don't really know much about the sport, so I'm really excited to kind of just learn about ice hockey. I've never watched an ice hockey match in my life, so this is going to be fun. Let's see. And there's secrets to it. Sweden. Look at the editing in this.
Here in Sweden, we believe not to rush things. We believe in playing local and making sure that you play with your friends, close to school, close to family, and that you take one step at a time.
That's a very Swedish way, isn't it? Pace yourself, don't rush things, you know, just community, love it. By the way, do you know how to ice skate? I don't know how to ice skate. So we have a few ice hockey rings in the UK. There was never an indoor ice rink, sorry. There was never an indoor ice rink anywhere near to where I lived. However, every winter for I think about 2 or 3 months, there's an outdoor ice rink that gets put up in the city centre of Leeds, where I'm from. And people go ice skating. It's always really, really, really busy. And it's not very good for learning how to skate. Do you know what I mean? Because it's so busy and there's people everywhere and everyone's trying to go to it because it's like this kind of novelty because we only have an ice rink every couple of months in a year. It's not the best place to fall over and try and learn how to ice skate. So let me know. I'm guessing that most Swedish people know how to ice skate. Let me know in the comment section if that's true. Maybe when I go to Sweden, I need to go and, I don't know, get some lessons. Maybe there's a place in Stockholm that's an ice rink and you can get ice skating lessons. Let me know if I should do that. Don't know if I should do that. But, look at him skating
We
backwards.
don't put players in different levels too soon. We will let them grow year by year, not chasing wins, chasing to play against the best players too early. The other big part is that the communities are the owner of the rinks. So it's not driven by companies that for every reason wants to earn money. So we try to keep hockey at a low cost as possible. And I think that's an important part in having as many players as possible trying hockey.
Usually North American guys are usually seeing our Swedish guys as really good skaters. They can usually see when we have a European or especially a Swedish draft pick or something that comes into camp, we're usually really good skaters, and both defensemen and forwards are moving the puck really well.
The biggest reason why I think we are actually successful in Sweden is the way we do the player development. So we have a training ratio of maybe 3 trainings for 1 game, and I think that's the most efficient way of developing a hockey player. From a scientific point of view, it's quite clear on what to do when, and you have the golden age of motoric and coordination development from when you hit puberty, and I think we optimize that age in a very good way. You could make a comparison.
So they get them started early. You guys get, you know, your ice hockey players started early on the ice rink and teaching them the basics. They're all good at skating. You're skating backwards. I can't even skate forwards. I'm just looking at these movements and I'm like, sick. Yeah.
Comparison to either building a go-kart or a Formula 1 car. If you use that age in the right way, focusing on skating, stick handling, passing, making sure the player can handle every type of technical issue in that age would make him have the possibility to reach a very high level.
I would say the biggest asset that the Swedes have going for them is that they have a smaller geographical country, that they have a smaller population, and they can reach out to these people quicker and faster in the instruction area, coaching. And they've done a fantastic job of breaking down the game from the youngest kids and teaching skill development and working on the fundamentals of the game. And then when they get into their early teenage years, they get into game situations, which I think is the key to success in hockey. In Canada, the tendency seems to be more on game-based situations. The earlier they start playing games, the better, and the more they enjoy it. And for me, when I see practices with 7, 8, and 9-year-olds in Canada, I wouldn't get away with that in this country. It'd be unacceptable, and it would not be to the standards that the Swedes would want, because they work very much on skill development, and we work too much on game situations and game development.
Winning games in the beginning is not the most important. It's about setting every part of the development in where it should be. And I think that's crucial.
The reason I feel Swedish hockey...
That's interesting. That's very interesting. He said winning games is not the most important thing. That's very different. You know why it's different from Americans? Like Americans that probably play ice hockey and Canadians, I do feel like winning games is important. Like the guy said that they concentrate on games, like playing games first, winning matches probably. Whereas the Swedes are like, no, the fundamentals of the game. Let's break it down. The technicals, you know, the proper form. It feels like you guys really love hockey in the sense of the fundamentals, the technique, the proper way of doing things. It seems like you really like the technical side of ice hockey, which is really good. I kind of feel like Swedes to ice hockey, and Finns probably, is like what England, in England, but we're like to football. Like football is, we take that seriously. We take it to heart, and we probably concentrate too much on the technicals and the training, and probably not winning, and probably not playing games. You know, like the Canadians say, oh, they like to play games. It's like when we play football, like there's countries like Brazil, like Argentina, like these countries, and the way they play with they just flow football. Do you know what I mean? They're not like worried about. They are very technical, but they also play like they play outside in the street. You know what I mean? And that's why they probably are better at football than the Brits. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up, but I just do feel that there's a different way of playing a sport country to country. So it's interesting to hear about Sweden and the way that you play ice hockey.
He still has an edge over North American play is because the actually less usage of ice during the off season and more focus on off-ice training. In North America, most rinks nowadays are private rinks, so rink owners feeling the necessity to make their sheets full all year round. So the implementation of spring tryouts for teams used to be early in the fall or late in the summer season. Back in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, those rinks were closed and players would go out and play multiple sport, therefore getting a lot better with their reaction time.
Most of the rinks we close 1st of April, and we'll make sure the players do other sports, or if they do not do other sports, we will implement that part of coordination training within our off-ice training, making sure that you can set the foundation from a motoric point of view, which is much easier without skates than with the skates on, because you get so much other parts as balance and the way you develop your skating.
Interesting, you just said that your rinks are closed in April. So it's the same in Sweden as well. You guys only open your ice rinks in the winter season. Let me know in the comment section. I would have thought you would have kept it open all year round, because it seems like you have indoor ice rinks and not outdoor ice rinks. That's interesting.
Everybody in Sweden at 13, 14, 15 has the skill. Now you take that skill and you move it on to the next level, and that's game development. And they do it the other way around in North America. And I think the Swedes are right on the money. They got the idea. Now, the Americans have followed more of the European model, and that's why it's growing so fast and producing so many players at such a high rate. The Canadians are producing players just on sheer volume. There's so many players and there's so many guys playing that it's just the elite rise to the top right away. When you go out on the ice with a 9, 10, 11-year-old in Canada, the coach is working on breakouts, power play, and all that stuff. When you go out to a practice with a Swedish kid, they're out there working on puck handling, puck protection, moving the puck to the right places, their edge control when they're skating. And I think that if you don't have a solid platform when you're playing the game of hockey, which is skating, then you can't play the game at the level you need to be able to play at. You might have the biggest heart in the world, but you still got to be able to skate and play the game. And I think in Canada you'll find that there's a lot of games, and going to tournaments is really big in Canada. The kids love it, the parents love it. It's time out for everybody, but lots of games, not so much practice time. Or over here in Scandinavia, and especially in Sweden, there's a lot of emphasis on player development and practice time, less emphasis on tournaments, less emphasis on games, until they get older.
The game is
so interesting. That this is so completely different in the way that they develop the kids and what they start with first. Who wins more matches though? Canada? Do you know what I mean? He said sheer volume. It's a sheer volume of players that Canada produces, and that's why there's a lot more top players that come from Canada. But then he's saying that he likes the way that the Swedes do things and the way they train the kids. I don't know. I don't watch ice hockey, but who is on top out of Canada and Sweden? I don't know. And also, I wonder as well. This is an off topic a little bit, not off topic, but the UK. Why have we never? Because you would think, like, when it comes to ice hockey, the colder countries would be, in on it. So, Iceland, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, maybe the UK, maybe even Germany, like Canada, Alaska. These countries that have they're cold, either really, really, really cold or a bit cold. And I don't know. I just feel like the UK. How come we never got into ice hockey? Why did it never take off in the UK? Strange. I think it would have. We would have been really good at it had it have been a sport that took off in the UK. I don't know why. Let me know in the comment section if you know why. But yeah, it's not popular in the UK at all.
so fast today, and it's so much quick decisions out there. So how we usually work with the goalies is that we want to create that environment where the goalies need to take really fast decisions, and of course having the technique with them also. But that's a secondary thing. Most important for our goalies is take the puck. And then if you take it with the head or with the glove, that doesn't really matter for us.
Take it to the head or the glove.
Well, hockey's changed a lot, mirroring a little bit of soccer development across the world. We're trying to have the players play at younger ages in smaller areas. That giving players more touches and more opportunities. Before, Sweden was the one that was the forefront in that sector until USA Hockey sort of jumped on the bandwagon a little bit, and Hockey Canada, the US model called the ADM model, which is, like I said, very similar to the football model. More touches, smaller ice surfaces, and therefore allowing the players to participate more.
So interesting. I don't know. I have no clue about ice hockey at all. Don't know why it never took off in the UK, guys. Like, it doesn't make sense that it didn't. I guess because we already had football, maybe that's what it was. Like, the UK is obsessed with football and rugby to a certain extent, and then cricket to a certain extent, and then ice hockey just didn't make it. Don't know why. anyways, guys, that was really interesting. Let me know if there's any other ice hockey stuff I should be watching, learning about. Any, like, maybe I will watch, like, you know, like sports, you have like the best shots or like the heavy hits or like the best bits. I might watch one of those just because I've never watched an ice hockey match. So yeah, I'll watch one of those. I actually have a playlist, but you're not a Patreon member. If you're a Patreon member, I'm not trying to push the Patreon. I just forgot that you guys are not part of it. But if you are a Patreon member, there's a playlist that we have that you can actually put any videos that you want to request for me to react to in the playlist. But they have access to it. So sorry, that just came out. I just forgot that I'm not talking to my Patreon members. But if you'd like to be a Patreon member, the link is in the description. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you very soon.